Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Today I want to talk about why I love the Necrons, and I think it's quite an apt topic at the moment because of the new releases. So I want to share with you why I particularly enjoy this army. I've been collecting Necrons since 2002 when the 3rd edition codex first came out for them, and they had a new range of models. And I fell in love with them straight away. And there are a number of reasons for this, and one of the main ones was because none of my friends were interested in collecting Necrons. My best friend, he collected Eldar. One of my other friends, he was a Blood Angels and Tyranids collector, and I collected Black Templars at the time. And I wanted to do something a bit different, a Xenos army. The Necrons kind of jumped out at me. And while yes, I did like the Terminator aspect of them, that wasn't the thing that drew me to them. In the end, it was actually the story of the Necrons that really drew me in. So the models were really cool. I liked the warriors, and I love the old metal immortals. They are by far one of my favourite Necron models that were ever made. That and the pariahs and the old flayed ones. Okay, all of the old metal range. I love the old metal range. It's really creepy, really spooky, and that for me really resonated. It's something that I thoroughly enjoyed as a gamer, as a player of the hobby, and as a collector. But like I said, the main draw for the Necrons for me was actually the story itself. I really liked the Catan. I thought that they were really interesting as parts of the lore. They're really frightening, and that's the bit that I really enjoyed about it. It was that unknown alien menace. They were quite terrifying because it was that cosmic horror element of the story. They were so completely unknowable. They were utterly alien in what they were. So you didn't know what really their motives were and what it is that they were doing. Now, yes, while I would address the argument that the Necrons were a bit like the Tyranids because they were an unknown faceless horror, an unknown monstrosity that were just harvesting the bioforms, I understand all of that criticism. And for me, I didn't really like it when they redid the Necrons for 5th edition. When they got their new codex, which was, I liked the units that they brought out, the Triarch Praetorians, really cool. But they got rid of the pariahs, which was a sticking point for many people who like the Necrons. And they nerfed the Catan, so they were now the subservient gods of the Necrons. The Necrons had captured them and harnessed them as weapons, and I thought that was a bad move on my thought. It made the threat of the Catan and the whole idea of what the Catan were, it just reduced them to, well, slaves, and I really didn't like that. That was something that kind of annoyed me when they did it. In fact, I expressed that annoyance to Phil Kelly, one of the writers of the Codex, a few years ago, and I actually came up with an idea how they could have gotten around the whole thing, and how they could still have the overlords, the characters behind the overlords, what they did, and still have the Catans as the omnipresent, omnipotent masters that they had before. I will go into detail about that in another video, but for me it was very much a slap in the face, and I didn't like that. I also really didn't like the resin cast flayed ones. They were absolute garbage. They should never have made those. So I'm really hoping that in this new release of Necrons, they have the new flayed ones as plastic. That would be really, really cool. So to get back on track, why I really like the Necrons, essentially it's the cosmic horror element. The models are really cool, and they were frightening, and then obviously in 5th edition they became cartoon caricatures of themselves, which I really didn't like. But now there is an opportunity for Games Workshop to really implement that cosmic horror, that terrifying aspect of the Necrons. And the model that does it for me is the blatantly new Catan shard. It can't be anything else. It's got to be a Catan shard. My bets are on the Void Dragon, but that's just me. And they've reintroduced that level of cosmic horror to the Necrons that I initially found so frightening. I mean, you look at this Catan shard, it's not got a face, and that is in itself utterly terrifying. It just makes me think of Azathoth from the Cthulhu mythos. You look at things like the new Scorpek Lord, and that thing looks utterly horrifying, and I really like that model. I know that some people are not keen on it because of the 3 legs and they think it should have 4. I quite like that it's got 3 legs. I like the asymmetry of the model. I'm really big on asymmetry. It's something that I find particularly enjoyable to look at. So the 2 arms on one side and the 1 massive arm on the other, that for me was a really big selling point for that model. So I'm hoping that Games Workshop don't make the new overlords and lords and whatnot in this codex for it caricatures of cartoon villains. I really don't want to see that. What I want to see is unadulterated alien terror, something that you look at and think, damn, that's really freaky and frightening. And some of the stories that they've posted up on the community site have been really good. The one Lights Out or whatever it was, where the soldiers are walking through the dead spaceship and then they find all of those people that have been drained of their life essence. And then you've got the flayed one at the end that's mimicking the voice of the sergeant's sister. That for me was absolutely terrifying. And I think that is where the Necrons need to go. They need to go back into the realms of horror rather than back into the realms of humour. And I don't mean humour as in ha-ha, I just mean that some of the things that they say are rather humorous. Some of the anecdotes from the 5th edition right up to 8th edition codex of, "You have trampled on our lands, how dare you, we will destroy you if you do not vacate," sort of garbage. Rather that, they should just go down in full force, reave the planet and utterly annihilate it, removing any trace of humanity. And when the Imperium checks it out, all they find are dead worlds. And while they do have interactions with the Necrons, I don't like that whole concept of the cartoon villain moustache twirlers. I just hate that. It's really insulting. So the main pull for the Necrons when they first came out was in the codex. So it was really dark, it was really gritty. I'm a very big fan of the old artwork, the black and white sort of grayscale images that are really gritty and nasty to look at. They're very, very cool. I like that. It just really reflects the style and tone of the grim dark universe. And the stories in there reflected that. And I really enjoyed the story of the Outsider within that codex. And it's just a little tiny excerpt of where the Outsider, where it was amongst the enemies, it sowed terror wherever it gazed. And people would rather commit suicide than actually look at it. And I just think that in itself was just really frightening. The whole concept of the pariahs in there, where they would take humans that had the pariah gene from their planets and just carve them up and turn them into new Necrons. I really liked that. It was really dark stuff. And I was into Warhammer 40k when I was 13 years old. And that for me, when the Necrons first came out, I believe I was like 15 or 16 when they first came out. For me to read that, and I was and still am a really avid sci-fi and horror fan. I love those things. They combined it so well that I would spend ages reading and rereading the stories from the codex. I just thought it was really, really well done. Obviously, that's my opinion. I don't think that that should be everybody's opinion. But what I want to see in the new codex is that element of horror back into the story of the Necrons, because it makes them more alien, it makes them more of a terrifying threat to the Imperium. And now that the Silent King is back and kicking butt on his pimp throne, I think that there is, clear indication that it could go back to that element of horror, especially with the new Catan shard that they've got, the new Scorpec Lord, and the new models in general are quite frightening. So I think Games Workshop are probably on a winner here, but we will see when they release the new Necron models. So while this was a bit more of a rambly video, I thought I would just get some new content out and put my thoughts in as to why I really like the Necrons. I'm going to do another video where I will outline what I think Games Workshop could have done to the story to keep that initial element of cosmic horror within the story and not make the Necrons such moustache-twirling villains like I've stated earlier on. Hopefully my next video will be a bit more organised, but this is my first one of this kind of content, so please forgive me for being a bit rambly with it. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. My next sculpting tutorial where I'm finishing off the Vargulf will be coming out in the next couple of days or week or so. One of the things I should let you know is I'm actually a key worker during the time of COVID and the lockdown and stuff. So I'm actually working doing that while also doing my own self-employment business, just to make sure that I can keep the roof over my head and everything like that. So my videos are probably going to be a little sporadic, but as long as I keep pouring more out, I guess that's a good thing. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share and comment, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.